Hello friends, let us now learn some important points about the otosclerosis. Otosclerosis here, this otosclerosis is a hereditary localized disease of bony labyrinth. Otosclerosis is mainly caused by alternate phases of bone resorption. It is caused mainly by alternate phases of bone resorption and formation. So if you see the etiology of otosclerosis, it is mainly an autosomal dominant condition with 50% of cases being hereditary, and these are most commonly in males. More than in males is to females ratio is 1:2. It is most commonly seen in 20 to 45 years of age. It is seen in puberty, pregnancy, menopause. All these conditions will accelerate the otosclerosis. It is seen in races, whites more commonly than Negroes. It is most commonly seen in Caucasians. The triggering factor of otosclerosis is mainly viral infection is the triggering factor of otosclerosis. Almost 70 to 85% of the cases are bilateral. It most commonly affects the fistula antefenestrum. This fistula antefenestrum is present anterior to the oval window. So it mainly affects this fistula antefenestrum. Then other sites where otosclerosis is reported is it is seen in the round window area around the stapedial footplate. Then it is also seen in internal auditory meatus, internal auditory canal. That is also you can also see in around the semicircular canals. Then we have three types of otosclerosis. One, we have stapedial or fenestral otosclerosis, cochlear or fenestrial otosclerosis. Then we have histological type of otosclerosis. Then first, in stapedial otosclerosis is most common. It is most commonly seen in fistula antefenestrum. Fistula antefenestrum. This cochlear or fenestral otosclerosis involves the round window, whereas histological type here the defect is only detected on post-mortem examination. This is detected only on post-mortem examination. Then on histopathology you will see presence of blue mantles. Then if you see the clinical features, you will see that there is deafness. This deafness which you see in otosclerosis is bilateral conductive type of deafness is seen in otosclerosis, and this is seen in 15% of the cases. This deafness is unilateral. In 15% of the cases it is unilateral. This otosclerosis also presents with paracusis wilsi, where here the patient hears better in noisy environment rather than in quiet environment. In otosclerosis the patient also has tinnitus followed by sensory neural hearing loss. This includes cochlear otosclerosis. Sometimes the voice of the patient suffering from otosclerosis is quiet and low volume speech, because these patients hear their own voices by bone conduction. So because they hear their own voices, they talk quietly. So the voice of this patient is quiet and low volume speech. Vertigo is not seen. Cochlear otosclerosis. In cochlear otosclerosis you will see presence of vertigo, tinnitus and sensory neural hearing loss is seen. On examination, otoscopic examination shows tympanic membrane is normal or pearly white. This tympanic membrane is mobile. In 10% of the patients you will see presence of flamingo pink bluish membrane in the tympanic membrane, flamingo pink blush, which is called as Schwartz sign. This Schwartz sign is actually indicative of active focus with increased vascularity. This Schwartz sign is indicative of active focus with increased vascularity. Then if you see the surgery is contraindicated if Schwartz sign is positive. Then if Schwartz sign is positive, then you can do sodium fluoride therapy can be done. Then we have tests. In the tests, first we have tuning fork test. In tuning fork test is done for conductive hearing loss. Complete fixation of stapes foot plate is done, that is 80 decibels. Complete fixation of stapes foot plate is 80 decibels. For complete fixation of stapes foot plates, 80 decibels. If there is complete fixation of stapes foot plate, 80 decibels of hearing loss is seen. Rennes test is negative. First Rennes test negative is seen for 256 Hz and then 512 Hz. Weber's test is lateralized to ear with greater conductive hearing loss. Absolute bone conduction test is normal, except that it is decreased in cochlear otosclerosis. Then we have Gillies test. This Gillies test shows no change in bone conduction threshold. Gillies test shows no change in bone conduction threshold when air pressure is increased by Siegel's speculum. It shows no change in bone conduction threshold when air pressure is increased by Siegel's speculum. Now, these Gillies test has no change because here the oscicular chains are already fixed. Audiogram shows air-bone gap of more than 15 decibels. So obviously this is a conductive hearing loss. Then if you do a tympanometry or audiometry, in tympanometry and audiometry, especially in the impedance audiometry, you will see presence of AS type of curve is seen. If progressive stapes fixation occurs, AS type of curve is used in impedance audiometry. Then in acoustic reflex, if there is acoustic reflex, earliest signs of otosclerosis are seen, and this earliest signs of otosclerosis is also associated with air-bone gap. Then in normal hair, normally if you see, we have acoustic reflex pattern is present. In normal ear, acoustic reflex pattern shows sustained decrease in compliance owing to concentration of stapedial muscle. Because of concentration of stapedial muscle, you will see that acoustic reflex pattern decreases normally. But in otosclerosis, especially in early stages of otosclerosis, you will see presence of characteristic diphasic on and off pattern. There is characteristic diphasic on and off pattern is seen in acoustic reflex, and this will increase the compliance at onset or at termination of stimulus. This is actually pathognomic to otosclerosis. Then if you see the later signs, in the later signs show that the stapedial reflex is absent. Later signs show stapedial reflex is absent. Then we have pure tone audiometry. In pure tone audiometry, if pure tone audiometry is done, normal otosclerosis, normally in otosclerosis, you will see that the bone conduction is normal, but in some cases there will be dip in the bone conduction is seen. This dip is maximum seen at 2000 Hz, and this dip in bone conduction is called as Cahardt's notch. So if I draw an audiogram film, so this is 0, 60. So there is dip in the bone conduction, whereas the air conduction are almost decreased because of conductive hearing loss. You can see the air bone gap, but this dip in the bone conduction at 2000 Hz is called as Cahardt's notch. Then if you see the histological otosclerosis is a gold standard technique where we study the here in with histological otosclerosis we will study the bilateral temporal bone also. Now imaging studies. In the imaging studies we will have to do high resolution CT scan for otosclerosis, and treatment is observation. This otosclerosis is least risky and least expensive option. This is preserved for patients with unilateral disease. It is preserved for patients with unilateral disease and mild conductive hearing loss. If patient is not concerned about the hearing loss, then no intervention is required. Then audiograms can be done on yearly basis, and hearing loss will progress slowly. Hearing loss progresses slowly. Then if you see the medical therapy, then in the medical therapy first we use sodium fluoride. Sodium fluoride, if you use this, sodium fluoride is used in the dosage of 50 to 70 milligrams per day for 1 to 2 years. This will decrease the osteoclastic bone resorption and it will increase the osteoblastic bone formation. So bone formation is more than the bone resorption. This sodium fluoride also inhibits the proteolytic enzymes which are cytotoxic to cochlea. So thus it saves the cochlea. But there are some dangers or disadvantages of fluoride therapy, like fracture of long bones and spine due to fluorosis. There can be X-ray spine, and whenever we do, so because of this fluorosis we will have to do X-ray spine, and X-ray bone should be done routinely for observing the thickening of trabeculae which is seen due to the fluorosis. So always we should do this X-ray spine and X-ray long bone. Then indications of sodium fluoride is, it is indicated for cochlear otosclerosis or malignant otosclerosis. It is indicated for cochlear or malignant otosclerosis. It is given for radiologically active focus, that is for new onset disease. Sodium fluoride is given. It is also, sodium fluoride is also given if there is positive Schwartz test. If you see the side effects are most commonly GI side effects are seen. Contraindications include chronic nephritis, chronic rheumatoid arthritis, and sodium fluoride is contraindicated in pregnant women, lactating women, and it is also contraindicated in children. Then we have the drugs bisphosphonates. Drugs bisphosphonates include alendronate and etidronate. These are anti-resorptive agents, and these agents will increase the bone remodeling. So these bisphosphonates are tried in otosclerosis. They most commonly causes gastrointestinal side effects like nausea and diarrhea. Then the next important thing in otosclerosis is surgical treatment. Then we have surgical treatment. So the surgical treatment of otosclerosis, we can also use hearing aids for otosclerosis. Then surgical treatment is important. So in the surgical treatment, first, selection of patient for stapes surgery. In selection of patient for stapes surgery, air bone gap of at least 25 to 30 decibels, hearing threshold of these patients should be more than 30 decibels, Rennes negative can be there, or speech discrimination test score should be more than or equal to 60%, or it is done for patients with profound hearing. So in all these cases we can select the patient for stapes surgery. contraindication for surgery is absolute contraindication is only hearing ear. Occupation includes athletes, divers and air travelers, and it is also contraindicated because these people work in noisy environment. If the patient has otosclerosis associated with Meniere's disease, then surgery is contraindicated. If there is pregnancy, young children, otitis externa or otitis media, or if there is tympanic membrane perforation or inner ear malformation or exostosis, so all these are the relative contraindications. Then if the person is medically unfit and if the patient has active or malignant otosclerosis, then this is indication of fluoride surgery. If the patient has a malignant and active otosclerosis, we cannot do surgery. We will have to do fluoride therapy in those patients. Surgery is we do stapedectomy with prosthetic replacement. This was used to be done in future. It is an earlier treatment of choice. The side effects of this stapedectomy is it will increase the sensory neural hearing loss, it will increase the perilymphatic leak. Prosthesis like Teflon, stainless steel, platinum or titanium are used. Okay, then but now the treatment of choice is stapedotomy is the treatment of choice, and we have other surgeries are also present like laser stapedotomy, which is carbon dioxide laser, argon laser and KTP. This shows stapes modification. So these are the important points about the otosclerosis. Thank you for watching.